I've been always a gamer since last 20 years of my life. Wanted to create a platform where semi-professional or average gamers like myself could come in, showcase their skills, and also compete for minor rewards that are provided on the platform.
You also noticed that gamers in India were facing that lack of competitive exposure. So how did you really identify that gap?
I used to participate in amateur tournaments, ideally conducted on WhatsApp groups or social media pages, and I figured there was a need for a structured approach to this.
One piece of advice that you would give to an aspiring entrepreneur who is looking to set up perhaps a gaming company?
It is the next big thing. Go for it.
Gaming is no longer just a hobby. It's a career, a lifestyle, and a massive industry. And today on Startup to Scale Up, we've got someone who's turned a passion for gaming into an opportunity. Soham Thakkar, the CEO and founder of Gamerji, a leading esports platform in India, is with me on the show. Soham, thank you so much for joining us and welcome to the show. Let me straight get to it and ask you about your entire journey as far as Gamerji is concerned. You've got a pretty diverse background, ventures such as Fantasy G and F20 cohort. So, what sparked the idea for Gamerji?
Well, thank you so much for having me on the show. It's a pleasure to be here. To answer your question, I mean, to be honest, though it might sound cliche, but I have been always a gamer since last 20 years of my life. Probably from my early school days to the college days and etc. And where gaming kind of sparked in as a business, obviously, we saw the entire boom that the Indian gaming industry took, especially with the rise of games like PUBG and Clash Royale towards mid 2015, 2016. Always being an average gamer, wanted to create a platform where semi-professional or average gamers like myself could come in, showcase their skills, and also compete for minor rewards that are provided on the platform. With that particular notion, I started Gamerji. Post experimenting with a couple of other ventures in the past, and yeah, that got me into the gaming space. And yeah, 5 years down and counting.
Right. So just going a little bit further into that, you also noticed that gamers in India were facing that lack of competitive exposure. So how did you really identify that gap and then go about building a solution with Gamergy? What was that, moment when you discovered that?
I personally was a gamer, and I used to participate in amateur tournaments, ideally conducted on WhatsApp groups or social media pages. And I figured there was a need for a structured approach to this. Obviously, conducting tournaments on social media channels and WhatsApp groups was not going to be the end solution. And also, unlike conventional sports, esports does not have so to say, or gaming, professional gaming does not have a platform where you can start, right? Like when, for example, if you talk about cricket or any other sport, there's always a platform where you start from and then you build your stats, your career, and so on and so forth. So with that particular thought and the gap that I realized in the industry, I figured that a platform where the gamers could not only compete but also kind of set their track record of becoming an esports athlete was something where the need was. And that particular thought was when I decided that a platform would be an apt approach to it.
So how would you pitch Gamergy to someone who's already into gaming in a way that it's something that they should try out?
So ideally, as a gamer, you want to start building, and the most important thing for a gamer is recognition and obviously stats building. Right. So the way I would simply pitch is that if you want to really build your career in esports, and if you want to become a gamer, maybe not a professional gamer, but also a semi-professional gamer, Gamergy is the right place for you to start. It provides you with entering into competitive tournaments from the comfort of your bedrooms or literally cafes or college campuses, wherever you decide to play from, and still provides you with a competitive landscape and exposure, and obviously rewards. Where we do a step forward is we also partner with pro teams where good skilled gamers also get an opportunity to kind of get incubated and also take their career forward. So yeah, that would be my pitch to aspiring gamers, that just join the platform and start your journey.
Okay. What's been the feedback like from the community, and how do you sort of put it into process as to incorporating feedback to enhance features, make changes on the platform?
No, absolutely, and we are a community-driven platform at the end of the day, right? So, with evolution of games, with evolution of technology, and obviously with new games coming out, there's always some of the other feedback which we keep getting. And personally speaking, I at least speak with 20 to 30 gamers on a weekly basis, where I literally enact and as a customer care guy and call them for feedbacks, and that's how we gain recommendation, feedback, as well as knowledge of what's ideally happening. Though being in the industry, we don't know it all, and especially when you're catering to a very volatile and a fragile audience in Gen Zs and Gen Alphas, it's very necessary to know what their mindset is, what they are looking for, how we can improve on the platform. If there are any bad experiences that have happened, how we can rectify it, and that's how we evolve as a platform, and scale it.
What's the one interesting thing that you would, like to tell us as far as the Gen Alpha is concerned in terms of the difference from the previous generations and how they approach platforms such as this?
Well, obviously, there's a big, vast difference, from millennials to Gen Alphas, right? I mean, though they are, early adapters, whereas the early generations were not easily adapting to new changes and new things, whereas Gen Alphas are more pro to adapting and even trying out new things, features, and are more hands-on with it. But that also comes with the expectation and so to say the stickiness on the platform. Whereas the millennials or the baby boomer generations were more pardoning or kind of patient and accepting to evolution, whereas Gen Alphas want something fixed and evolved immediately because the change is happening very fast. So that's a predominant difference. And to cater to Gen Alpha, you have to be literally uh, um, put your ears where their mouths are to make sure that you listen to what the need of the generation is, and that's how you build and scale your business.
Right. Right. Let's talk about your expansion plans, Soham, because you've already expanded into regions such as UAE, Indonesia, etc. So, how do you tailor the platform to suit these different international regions? And what's been the most interesting challenge that you faced while expanding internationally?
Our base thesis still stays the same, which is competitive video gaming. But when you cater or when you expand to different regions, it's very important to know some you do some homework before that. Obviously, starts with what games are popular in the region, what is the localization aspect, how do you plan to distribute in the region, what should be a go-to-market strategy. We have expanded to 5 countries now. We expanded to Saudi Arabia, UAE, Indonesia, and Philippines. And the markets are completely different. I mean, Saudi UAE is very bullish towards esports, whereas Indonesia and Philippines are mature esports markets where people know the term esports. Whereas, in a country like India, for example, esports is still it's an it's an awareness building activity also that needs to take place along with you just acquiring customers and showcasing the platform. So yes, there are different expansion strategies that you have to follow as you go region by region. Localization plays a big factor, from content to language, to the even the look and feel of the platform. For example, in Indonesia, red, blue, and green would work, but in Saudi, it just has to be black and orange, right? So that understanding the mindset of our community in respective regions also becomes a crucial factor when we expand.
Right. So, what's the long term plan? What's the big vision as far as you're concerned with Gamerji?
So Gamerji as a business has two different verticals. We operate direct to consumer as Gamerji as a platform where we enter into geographies, we acquire customers, engage them in tournaments, we conduct cross-border tournaments between different regions as well. Along with that, we also work in embedding our platform as a solution with telecom and brand platforms where we integrate, for example, we've integrated Gamergy within the Vodafone India platform or within different telecom and brand platforms across Asia, Africa, even Europe. So that's been our thesis to get the esports or online esports reach to maximum number of gamers as we can. And from a long-term standpoint, we are looking at least catering about 100 million gamers across these different geographies that we are present in, and have them not only participate but also compete against different players from different geographies and build an entire ecosystem that runs by itself.
Right, right. And in terms of regulations, what is it that, as far as India is concerned, on the regulatory front, that you would like to see, or that is posing an obstacle at this point in time?
I definitely want love to see a federation which is dedicated to esports. Ideally a government organized body, like how we have for conventional sports. You have cricket bodies, you have football bodies, which govern the do's and don'ts, which not only govern the industry but also put the industry on the map of the world, which is seriously lacking in our country. And then obviously from an India standpoint, there is still a lot of misconception of esports being a subset of probably the real money gaming industry or the fantasies or the rummies of the world, whereas they are completely different industries, right? And that awareness, or so to say, that misconception in India is causing a large hindrance, especially when you talk about taxation norms, or when you talk about uh, you know the games being banned, or stuff like that. That obviously hamper the business. So that clarity will come as a dedicated federation or a body would take charge.
So obviously, gaming is still relatively new in India, especially the way these platforms are now coming up. What is your perception in terms of how much this industry can grow? What is the upside that's concerned for the entire industry?
No, absolutely, and gaming as an industry. I mean, once upon a time, it was a subset of the media industry. Now it has an identity by itself, right? So, gaming is definitely here to grow, and especially with the large mass of the younger generation, kind of looking at it as their primary hobby or their primary mode of entertainment. It's definitely here to grow. Currently, India is catering roughly about 300 million odd gamers. That number is just going to scale, and with the passing of newer generations, it's definitely here to stay, survive, and thrive.
Right. Can you also, Soham, give us some sense of the numbers with respect to the kind of funding that you'll probably require going ahead, revenue streams at this point in time, and paths to profitability?
Yeah, absolutely. So we currently have raised close to about 5 million combined over 3 rounds that we've raised, including pre-seed, seed, and pre-series A, from multiple venture capitals and family offices across the country. Well, most of our funding, is predominantly going to be used towards geographically expanding and also building technology, especially when it comes to AI element, which involves matchmaking as well as automation of tournaments in esports. So that is something that we are going to be heavily investing in and also raising for. As far as the path to profitability is concerned, we fortunately are already profitable in India. As you talk about expanding, it's a sweet spot where you balance the acquisition cost versus the average revenue per user numbers, especially when you talk about direct to consumer. And then the B2B expansion, which I said, where we embed, it's already a cash flow positive business. So our path to profitability is pretty simple. You balance the lifetime value of a customer along with the acquisition cost and the average revenue per user, to make sure that you run in minimal burns and eventually turn into profitability region by region. Like I said, India already profitable, but obviously other regions we are still building upon.
All right, so let's get to the rapid fire segment now. Let me ask you
Sure.
quick questions and quick answers from you as well. One word to describe Gamerji's journey so far.
Uh, Interesting but challenging.
Okay. What's your favorite esports game of all time?
Call of Duty Mobile.
Okay. The feature on Gamerji that you're most proud of.
Stats and insights for gamers.
Okay. What's the biggest gaming trend in your view that you see coming over the next few years in India?
AI in matchmaking and automation.
One piece of advice that you would give to an aspiring entrepreneur who is looking to set up perhaps a gaming company?
It is the next big thing. Go for it. Make sure that you have your homework done right, and just make sure that you have the right set of people, your team, and your technology, and then it's for you to grow.
And finally, what's the biggest challenge that you foresee in scaling up Gamerji going forward?
One thing being said is the diversity and the volatility of the games. the life cycle of the games is short-lived. PUBG, for example, once upon a time was extremely popular in India. It went through its cycles of being banned and then came back. So the life cycle of the game is a big challenge. When you talk about scaling, but then when as a platform you have to be always aware of the upcoming trends and the games that are there, tie up and partner with the different game publishers and bring them on board on your platform to conduct tournaments for. But that definitely poses a challenge, as we scale up to the global scale.
All right, we'll leave it there. So, thank you so much for joining us and for sharing your thoughts with us. All the very best.
The pleasure is all mine, and thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure and indeed a great conversation.